Since time immemorial, so many jivas have started their journeys. And they are all wandering through so many universes. Brahmanda, Brahmite, Kona. But what is the goal of their journey? We all seem to be searching for something that we even do not know what it is. Our journey has been a very long one, with so many births and deaths, and we wish that one day our journey will end when that goal is reached. But what is that goal and destination of our journey? This series on journey of the Jiva is a special one. This is not for the advanced devotees who are already engaged in devotion. This is for the beginners and those who want convincing scientific basis for Krishna consciousness. Hopefully, after listening to this series, one may get inspiration to come to Krishna consciousness. Our very first episode is Worlds, Nature and Dimensions. With our human body, the most rare form we can get out of 8.4 million kinds of species, we currently live in a three-dimensional world. Our direct perception comes from the world we live, and the worlds we see and the nature we are put in. With our own intelligence, while we still struggle to understand our own world, we are also trying to guess beyond this world. We study so many things, we find so many things. However, sooner we also claim that we know everything. But the question is, how much do we really know? Yesterday's scientific findings are refuted today. Today's findings are about to be refuted tomorrow. This is the nature of our intelligence. But we are all boasting that we all know everything. The fact is that we do not know so many things. Do we know even about our own body, cells, how and how we grow? Do we know even our own body, cells, how and why we grow? It is said that just inside one single cell, a most complicated town planning can be found. I am sure that you must have heard about this. The physics is about to be rewritten again because some very basic understanding is still found to be wrong, leading to this rewrite of physics. Please listen to this small fragment from BBC.
Now, an international team of scientists working on a project in the United States say that they have discovered strong evidence for the existence of a new force of nature. They say that some subatomic particles, called muons, don't behave in a way predicted by current theories of physics. The British funders of the research say that scientists are on the precipice of a new era of physics. Our science correspondent Palab Ghosh has the story.
The theories of modern physics have given scientists a new understanding of how the universe works. But the current ideas aren't able to solve some of the biggest scientific puzzles, such as how the universe as we know it came into existence. And they found that they might be behaving in a way that can't be explained by the current theory of physics at the subatomic level.
We found that the interaction of a muon, which is a heavy electron with a magnetic field, is not in agreement with our current best theory of physics.
Many fundamental things we learn as truth today may not stay as truth tomorrow. And no one knows if the new findings are correct either. Why? That is the limitation to our understanding. We already messed up the history big time, mostly due to politics, self-interest and ignorance. Now we see that we have messed up the science as well. So our understanding has many limitations. We are not absolutely perfect. Compared to the cosmic intelligence and absolute truth, we are only like a child. If you ask a small child, where does the water come from? The child would say, I know, the water comes from the tap. You simply open the tap and then water comes out. Our understanding is very much like this. Then one may ask some serious questions. He may ask, who am I? And some scientists would say, I know, you are a biological product. Then another one may ask even a bigger question, where did I come from? The scientist will say, I know, you came from the nature. Then another one may ask even more questions. He may ask, why did the nature make me a boy, not a girl? The scientist will say, I know, it applied the theory of probability and you randomly came as a boy. Oh boy, what an explanation. Then one may ask, where did the nature come from? The scientist would say, I know, the nature came from the Big Bang. The Big Bang is a big thing discussed nowadays. So many PhDs are being given out just on this guesswork. So many trees have been cut to write books about it. So many people are making professions out of it. Our tax money is also given for those researches. Then you ask, where did the Big Bang come from? For that, scientists would say, that we do not know yet, but we are just researching on it to find out. There are several theories around the Big Bang. Some scientists have even refuted this very basic of this Big Bang theory. So you may finally ask another fundamental question. Okay, if it all came from the Big Bang, who provided the massive amount of materials for it to make so many worlds? And who decided it? Why was it started in the first place? Did it happen just at random? How all the worlds are so nicely in place and working? In fact, just to find out about an atom and the Big Bang, there are enormous amount of money and efforts have been spent. But they are not able to find any definite answer. Scientists say that Mother Nature is everything. And they also claim that it is supremely intelligent. But if the nature is all powerful and intelligent, why don't you supply the raw materials and ask nature to make a jumbo jet? We know it is not possible. They know it is not possible. We don't have any means even to ask the nature to make it. So, if you are really intelligent and do not have any mental concoction, you will understand that there must be a superpower and super designer behind the nature. On the other hand, thinking that we are most powerful and intelligent and try to manipulate the nature, we often fail. While we can't create even a single blade of grass by ourselves, playing with nature only brings disasters like COVID-19, GMO, and so many things. The fact is that we are actually killing the nature. The amount of plastics we have produced and producing every day, and the pollution we are making every minute are just some of them. Actually, we are killing the nature. And even then, due to its superior design by a very intelligent being behind, it is adjusting itself so much so that still we are able to live comfortably. This is actually miraculous. So first we have to understand that there is a superpower and intelligence behind nature. It is way powerful than we can think of. While we are boasting and trying to mimic the nature, look at this analogy that was given by Srila Prabhupada. Take these two living beings, a man and a woman. They make a baby. So the baby comes. But can your two watches you made make a baby watch? No. So who even controls that the beings born are about 50% male and 50% female? How is it working? Anyway, it is so much of power is behind the nature. It is that power that is putting a whole tree inside a seed. And that tree has so many branches, so many leaves, so many fruits, and so many seeds, all planted inside a single seed. So in every seed there is another tree and so on. How can the nature blindly put a whole tree in a tiny seed? Isn't it the miracle of an intelligent being? How can it happen without an intelligent behind? We should be intelligent to understand at least this very simple thing. But we think that we know everything about the nature. We think that everything came at random. But we don't know even why there is a big mystery inside a single cell. We don't understand the big mystery behind the single seed from the nature. But we say that we are very intelligent and know the nature. It is like an ant crawling on the circuitry of a computer motherboard and trying to guess. And it says, I know, it all came by itself. Big Bang. By the way, do you know how difficult it is to make a replica of our brain alone by using the latest electronic circuitry? It was an estimate announced years ago. To mimic the function of a single human brain, it needs circuitry boards with trillions and trillions of transistors. For the wirings alone, it will take hundreds of square miles of space. And to cool from the heat it dissipates, it will require hundreds of times the amount of water flowing in Niagara Falls constantly. And a huge power plants supporting this so that this whole thing can run. Of course, there are a lot of maintenance costs and a lot of people need to work on so many complications just to make the replica of one single human brain. But just to think how nicely our brain is functioning. We do not pour so much of water like Niagara Falls to cool our brain. And it's running by itself. No batteries either. Also, take our own body. Who runs it behind? The whole body runs and maintains itself. How is it possible? Actually, we do not know many things. In the Bible, Lord Jesus Christ says, you do not even know how many hairs you have. But God knows every one of it. So, a super intelligent person has designed our body. While all the scientists are claiming that the cause is Mother Nature, frankly, we do not even know or understand many things about nature. Like a child sees the tap as the source of water, we say that the nature is the cause of everything. But we do not know so many things about nature. There are so many scientists and mathematicians are trying to understand about God. Even mathematicians find the nature so amazing. Here is one example I want to give from mathematics. It is about Fibonacci series in mathematics. This has mysteries to help us to understand the nature. In mathematics, Fibonacci is a natural wonder. This series was invented by Fibonacci, a famous mathematician. What is a Fibonacci series? You simply start from 0, then add 1, then add to the last number you got to get the next number. So the series will be 0, 1, and 0 and 1 will be 1 again, and then 1 and 1 is 2, and 2 and 1 is 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 3, 8, 8 plus 5, 13, and 13 plus 8, 21, 21 plus 13, 34, like that, 55, 144, 233, and so on. But what is so special about it? There are so many natural wonders behind this Fibonacci series. See any flower on earth, any flower, just count their petals. There will be that will be a number from the Fibonacci series. Here are the examples. What do you see? 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on. Why not any number in between? No, you cannot find. So you cannot find any other number away from Fibonacci's numbers. If you do find, it must be from some artificial productions. It's not nature. So count the knots on the stripes of a pineapple, for example. Anything that in the nature, they're all going to be somehow or other represented by the Fibonacci. They all will be the Fibonacci number. So there is also another secret behind this Fibonacci series. It is called golden ratio, 1 and 1.6. 1 is to 1.6. You take any number, actually this happens after the number 2. So you take any number in the Fibonacci series and you divide it by the previous number. You will always get the ratio 1.6. Even if you go on infinitely, this ratio of 1 to 1.6 is always preserved. Why is it called golden ratio? Because almost everything we see in nature is controlled by this golden ratio of Fibonacci. I will give few glimpses. Take our own body. Measure from head to the navel, because navel is such the pivot for our body. So head to navel, if it is 1 unit, then from the navel to all the way to the feet will be 1.6 times. Take our arm, and the remaining extension, including fingers, is 1.6 times of it. Take our palm now. First segment to the knuckle is 1, and the rest is 1.6, and so on and so on. Our heart rhythm also follows this golden ratio of 1 and 1.6. Our DNA helix also follows 1 is to 1.6. The musical notes we are all used to, they're all based on the Fibonacci sequence in frequencies. Every other note is 1.6 times higher than the previous in frequency. All these are just by coincidence. Do you think so? Here comes more amazing secrets. So now, based on the Fibonacci series, this is called golden spiral. So basically, if you take the Fibonacci series of number and graph them, you will get the graph that you see at top left. This spiral diagram is called Fibonacci golden spiral. This golden spiral is also very special and deeply involved in the nature. If you see the moving hurricane, it follows this same golden spiral. Look at the shape of our own ear. It follows the Fibonacci golden spiral. Want more? Look at any galaxy, how they are all spinning. They all will follow the golden spiral. If you see how the planets are positioned and circling around, it is also following the golden spiral. If we see how the embryo is placed in the womb, it is in the shape of golden spiral. You can see so many amazing things that relate the nature with Fibonacci. Is it by chance? Think again. That is why there are so many researchers. And here are few examples of those research. 1. Why the golden spiral of Fibonacci is seen to be everywhere in nature. This is exactly what we are talking about. 2. Do we live in a golden ratio universe? 3. Is space-time also shaped like a golden spiral? This is the big one. So universe has a golden ratio that keeps everything in order. That's what the researchers finding. But who made this golden ratio to be employed in the nature? Not us. Time and space also follow Fibonacci. That's what we really saw. Yes, this is another big subject in metaphysics. It is about the space-time universes theory. It claims, the metaphysics claims, that the golden ratio and the golden spiral are involved in the space-time universe paradigm. Metaphysics also deals with parallel universes. Metaphysics proposes that there are multidimensional worlds. Multidimensional worlds. Dimensions. Let us talk about it. We all know what is no dimension. A point in mathematics has no dimension. We all know what is one dimension. A line that can go in any one direction. We all know what is two dimension. X and Y coordinates, which occupies an area. We all know what is three dimension. X, Y and Z coordinates. A volume, like a cube for example. But are there any more dimensions? According to metaphysics, string theory, there are 11 dimensions. I will give some hints about these to further understand the super intelligence behind this nature. We all live in a three-dimensional world. We also have a sense of time called Kala. However, in this world, not every being is aware of this time. While all the human beings have the sense of time, according to the scientists, many animals do not have the sense of time like human beings. For example, you leave your dog at home and go to the office in the morning, and the dog is waiting for you to come back. But in that, it is not aware that the time is actually passing. Most of the animals do not have this sense of time like humans. Well, some human beings also have no sense of time and do not submit their homeworks on time. Anyway, in the case of that dog, in the evening you come back and the dog sees you, but in its brain, even though it was waiting for a long time, it does not feel that so many hours have passed. It thinks, oh, you just went out and immediately came back. So the time factor is sensed only by more intelligent beings. It is said that we are all living in a three-dimensional world, but we are also influenced by time. But while we have a greater sense of time, we do not have any control over the time, Kala. So for us, the time only goes forward. It can never go backward. We are forced to move only in the forward direction. For a moment, just think that there is no time dimension in our world. Then this world would be just like a snapshot and surely boring. The time is the one that causes the events. Also note that the time is controlled by someone else, not us. Can you control the time? No. Then who is the one who controls the time? That answer comes from Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that he is the controller of Kala, the time. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalo Asmi Lokakshaya. This is Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter 32nd verse. I am the Almighty and controller of time. So we saw that we live in a 3D universe with Kala as the fourth dimension. Now let us look at a full-fledged 4D universe. In the 4D universe, a person living in that four-dimensional world can travel back and forth on time. He can go to the past, be in the present, and also he can go to the future. But there are some limitations as per the metaphysics. Let us see how the life of a person who lives in the 4D world will look like. Let us say that at time T1, he decides to marry a girl. And at time T1, he marries the girl. Now he lives in time T3. Later he wants to change his previous life. So he goes back to time T1, then decides to marry a different girl. Then at time T3, he marries the new girl and starts a new life. The previous time life cannot be lived in parallel. Okay, the previous lifetime cannot be lived in parallel. Also in 4D universe, a person cannot live in multiple dimensions. An example of this 4D is the Pitraloka, Suvarloka or Indraloka, where the departed souls can live temporarily. These are all mentioned in our scriptures. They can adjust their lives as they wish. There is also a story where once a father goes to Brahmaloka to meet Lord Brahma, who is in a different dimension, and he went to consult Lord Brahma to find about a suitable bridegroom. When he met Lord Brahma said, by the time just a fraction of my second has gone, thousands of generations on earth would have passed. And the bride that you are talking about is not there anymore. So when he returned to his time frame as young as he left, because he has the power, there were thousands of generations already passed on the earth. No more bride, nothing. So people call all these kind of things as mythology. But according to metaphysics science, it is not. It is not. It is just a characteristic of just a 4D universe. Now let us see the 5D universe. In 5D universe, one has also all the powers of 4D world that we talked about. It is also important to note that in the 5D universe model, parallel universes exist. That means a person can live in multiple worlds in parallel simultaneously. Example, at time T1, in world number 1, he decides to marry a girl. At time T2, in world number 1, he marries the girl. And now he lives in time 3, in world number 1, with his wife. Later, he wants to live in another world, with a new life, with a new wife. At the same time, living with his old life, with old wife as well. So he wants to go back to time T1, decides to marry a different girl. And then at time Tx, he marries the new girl and starts a new life in a new world. Watch that, in a different world. So in 5D universe, as in the metaphysics, a person can live in multiple worlds at the same time. The limitation is that there is no shortcut to meet yourself living in another parallel world. That means there is no shortcut to go to different world in different timeline. We know that the mystic yogis that we can see even today, after getting siddhic power, they can really replicate the same kind of situation that I am talking about. They can roam in different parts of the world at the same time. We have heard about this power from the life of Maharishis and so many Siddhas. So they'll be manifesting in multiple places at the same time. But no place they can meet each other. That's not possible. That is exactly with the Ashtasiddhi. The nature of the Ashtasiddhis, you will find out. Yes, they cannot really meet themselves. But they can make a maximum of 8 forms, like 8 avatars or something, and they can actually roam around anywhere in parallel. But they cannot meet each other. So whatever that the metaphysics is saying about the 5D universe is actually exactly matching the Astasthiti powers of the Siddhas. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the Brahma Vimohana. In that, we see that Lord Krishna was there in Vrindavan, but at the same time, he also went to Brahmaloka as Brahma, disguised as Brahma, to fool Lord Brahma. We made a drama also about this Brahma Vimohana. But Lord Krishna is way and way beyond any limitations. He has no limitations. This is just an example I am bringing it here to really understand this 5D universe. We also see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that in the body of Srila Haridas Thakura, Lord Brahma was living. But do you think that Lord Brahma was missing in Brahmaloka at that time? When Srila Haridas Thakura was living here in this world? No. He was still there in the Brahmaloka doing his work. However, the Brahma in the body of Srila Haridas Thakura never seems to have met the Lord Brahma in Brahmaloka. We don't have any details about it. Anyway, the 5D universe shows us the conception of expansions or avatars that function simultaneously. Now let us see the 6D universe. In 6D universe, as in the 5D world, parallel universes exist. And also in the 6D world, all the powers of the 5D worlds are also available. But even the parallel universes exist in the 5D, so there was a limitation. But here in the 6D universe, there is another limitation that is coming. That is, all the parallel universes should have the same beginning. Like Big Bang, what we are talking about, where all started at the same time. So one who lives in this 6D universe can know the past, present and future. And he can live in as many universes as he wants simultaneously. We saw that in 5D world, a person cannot meet himself living in another parallel world. But in 6D universe, the person can see all the other lives of himself in other parallel universes. He can also jump to any timeline of any parallel universe. So shortcut is possible as long as all those universes had the same starting point. That at the time when Lord Krishna came as Lord Rama, his own other incarnation, Lord Parashurama, was also there. Lord Rama and Parashurama both apparently said to have met at the Swayamvara of Sita Devi. Also we see that Lord Krishna, the Swayam Bhagavan himself, was present with Lord Balaram, who is one of his major expansions. However, Lord Krishna is above all these dimensions and supremely powerful. So I am just bringing this example just to understand this 6D universe. And what about 7D universe? In the 7D universe, one has all the powers possessed by 6D world. And the 7D universe will have infinite number of universes. This is a special thing about the 7D universe. Infinite number of worlds. Also, one who is in the 7D world can have infinite number of forms and can travel from any universe to any other universe at his own will at any time. But unlike the 6D universe, there is no need that all the universes have to have a same starting point. A history about Narada Muni can be an example to understand this. Narada Muni travels to all the universes at his own will and plan. Also, as we see, Narada Muni is in Vaikuntha Lokas, Shiva Loka, Dwaraka, and every world all at the same time. In Goloka, he resides as Madhumangal, the famous joker and entertainer. Once Narada Muni went to Dwaraka to see Lord Krishna. So he was in the royal court with Lord Krishna. When they were all coming out of the royal court, Lord Krishna took 16,108 forms just in front of Narada Muni, as he was seeing. And every one form was going to the palace of each queen. Seeing this, Narada Muni really wondered. But he has power too. So Narada Muni also took 16,108 forms. And each of these forms followed one form of Lord Krishna. So that is just an example to understand the capability of a dimensional plane. Now let us see the 8D universe. In the 8D universe, all the powers of 7D world are there. In 8D world, there is no physical form to the living beings. Okay, this is a very important characteristic of 8D world. There is no physical form to the living beings. The living beings are subtle and cannot be touched. However, they can be listened and understood. They do not have any movement at all. From our material world, we cannot understand this dimension. Why? Because 8D universe does not have any physical form. Just think about the Brahman, Brahma Jyoti, where jnanis and yogis merge. They won't have any form at all. This 8D is akin to Brahman. Because people are talking about Brahman, which is Brahma Jyoti, is the effulgence of the Lord. And this 8D universe is apparently matching with the characteristic of this Brahman. What about 9D universe? In the 9D universe, all the properties of 8D worlds are there. As we saw in 8D universe, the souls in 9D also won't have any physical form. But they can move anywhere. That is the difference. But not only that. They can move anywhere, anytime with super speed. Instantaneous. There is no time lag at all. There is no delay. So this is quite different from the 8D universe where there is no movement at all. Also, each universe in this dimension has their own laws of their worlds. This dimension is so special that multiple universes can occupy same space. But at the same time, this coexistence may not be known to each other in different universes that occupy the same space. It may be mind-boggling. The souls in this dimension will have mind-boggling superpowers too. They can go to the past, they can go to the present, they can go to the future of any universe as they like. The closest we can think of, this is the spiritual worlds above Brahman, such as Shivaloka, Vaikundaloka, Saket, Dwaraka, and so on. All those beings have tremendous powers. And what about the 10D universe? In the 10D universe, all the properties of the 9D worlds are also inherited. Any being in this dimension will have infinite power. This dimension also has infinite number of universes. See, this is mind-boggling. So this 10D universe can have infinite number of universes in it. Note that there is absolutely no physical form at all. The beings will have only spiritual forms. Again, listen carefully. The metaphysics started with the physical form, kala subjugation in the lower level of the universes. And then the higher level universes had subtle forms. So they are the intermediate level universes. And then no physical forms in the higher levels as we have seen. And now in the 10D it says that there is only spiritual forms in the highest levels. So this is very much akin to what we read from our Vedic scriptures. A very special thing about the 10D universe is The being here can control any universe of any space and time to the past, present or future time. Okay, I'm repeating again. The being here can control any universe of any space and time and the past, present and future. So they can control the time, they can control the universe, and basically everything. The metaphysics scientists call this as God. It is very interesting to see that metaphysics recognizes a superpower called God. So in metaphysics there is a concept of God. The scientists themselves finally agree that there is a superpower that they call God. So according to what we have seen so far, and if we delve into the details of various dimensions suggested by metaphysics, so according to what we have seen so far, if we try to understand these various dimensions suggested by metaphysics, one can now get a glimpse of the meaning of this verse from Ishopanishad, text number 5. What is it? Tatyajati tannaijati tadure dadvandike tahatandarasya sarvasya tadyu sarvasyasya bhahyataha. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but He is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet He is outside of everything. So if you try to understand by yourself, I think finally you will become mad. But if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, and if you read the scriptures with the help of a bona fide guru, you will be able to understand. In one of the Leelas of Lord Krishna, we see this fact when He revealed His Prakriti in His own mouth to Mother Yashoda. Even though He is so far away in the high dimension, He was standing very near to Mother Yashoda, right in front. Even though He as a superpower do not have to walk, He was walking in front of Mother Yashoda. Even though He pervades in every single atom as Vishnu, He was also standing outside of those in front of Mother Yashoda. So if you meditate with the help of bona fide teacher, all these scriptures, whatever they are talking about, they are not mythology. There are facts. They are all happening in different dimensions. All the leelas of the Lord are happening in different dimensions that He by His will involve in participating. For example, that Lord Krishna is said that he killed Putana. And when finally he really got her original form, it was so many miles long. How do you understand? Where are they now? Is there any trace of it? So people call that the mythology. But the reality is that happened in a different dimension, that the Lord is really taking all those his devotees to that plane, so they can really witness all the pastimes of killing this and killing that and killing that. It's all happening in His own will and His own whatever the dimension. And also we really read that Lord Krishna took gopis and He danced rasa, danced with them in rasa dance for the duration of 1 day of Lord Brahma. 1 day of Lord Brahma is 4.32 billion years. But He was there 5,000 years ago, and now how that would have happened for those that dance? See, He actually took them to the entirely different dimension. So there, because He has a control on the time, the Kala, He controls everything. In fact, there is a place in Vrindavan called Chandra Sarovara, where that was a place that he really froze the moon to stand still in that dimension. But we can see the place where they were all there. So we have to understand that our knowledge should be applied by understanding these higher dimensions, which these metaphysics nicely even try to really explain some of the concepts, and which leads to us to have a better understanding about Krishna consciousness. Also, here is an update about the 10-dimensional universes. Since then, there were so many questions asked by many scientists. To answer those complicated questions, the metaphysics invented a 11-dimensional universe. This model has been proposed. But what is the absolute truth, and when will we find everything? We may have to wait for millions or billions of years. Only God can tell us the truth. Lord Krishna himself comes down, or he sends his associates to come down and tell us the truth. But we foolishly do not believe in these words. Krishna says, take my word and believe. I am the ultimate truth. That's what we should believe. Now let us see the defects in the string theory of metaphysics. Even though the conception actually is really sounds too good, but there are some defects. What is the biggest defect in the string theory? First, there is no concept of feelings, love, affection of other beings. So that is a sambandha, and there is a life of the jivas. So practically, in fact, there is no details about jivas at all. So there is no mention about their origin, their nature, or anything about jivas. But we are all jivas. They cover only the mundane things like space, time, movement, mass, and so on, but nothing about jivas. So the most important thing that we should know is not covered. So what the string theory addresses is about just the nature, the material universes and the dimensions. Actually, this nature is just an inferior energy of Lord Krishna. It is called Prakriti. So the Prakriti, the inferior energy of Lord Krishna, is under the control of Krishna. That's what he says in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter and 4th verse. Bhumirapo analo vayuh kammano buddhireva cha ahankara itiyam me binna prakritir ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. These are actually, he is saying, these are all inferior energies. They are not superior. These are jada. Okay? So if you see that, earth, water, fire, air, these are all basically the initial dimensions that we covered. And then it went to the subtle form, intelligence and false ego. And then after that, it really went even higher, that is the spiritual dimensions. So, from the energy of Krishna comes the Prakriti, which includes the mass of elements of the worlds and associated laws. So, we see a relation between energy of Krishna and the mass, which is Prakriti. They seem to be reversible. This is exactly is revealed by E equal to mc square by Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein, basically he really took this inferior energy of Krishna and the Prakriti, which is actually the mass, and he is correlating how the thing actually got transformation. Okay, here you will actually hear the original lecture given by Einstein about this E equal to mc square. But of course, there is so much of truth as how he really came to this conclusion about this particular equation. Why is not E equal to mc power 3 or 4 or some fraction? No, why exactly 2? So many things are behind. So
E is
let us
equal
hear about
mc
what he
square,
says.
in which energy is third equal to mass multiplied with the square of the velocity of light, showed that very small amount of mass may be converted into a very large amount of energy, and vice versa. The mass and energy were in fact equivalent, according to the formula mentioned above. This was demonstrated by Cockcroft and Walton in 1932 experimentally.
The world of experience and the narrowness of consciousness.
So, the mass and energy are interrelated by the use of this equation. So it can be transferred back and forth. Lord Krishna gave his tiny fraction of his inferior energy to manifest so many universes, unlimited universes. They are just a fraction of his energy. And that Prakriti contains those 8 things that we really saw. Ether, water, fire, earth and so on in the previous loka. And Einstein gave us a way to convert the mass back to that mighty energy. So energy to mass and mass to energy. So he is converting mass to energy. But Krishna is he is converting the energy into mass. So energy into mass, we don't have any way of yet to do it. So that's all the equation E equal to mc square is about. As you have also heard, Einstein was also deep into the concept of consciousness. He is very intelligent. So we see that not only genuine scientists like Einstein, Newton and so many others, but many mathematicians are also trying to find about the superpower beyond nature. Long ago, Leonhard Euler made this equation and called it God equation. There is so many other things also behind this equation, and it is beyond the scope of today. Many scientists also try to put all the types of energy such as magnetic, electrical, gravitational, and all those energy and so on into a mathematical expression in a higher dimensional model and call that God. Still they haven't done it. But how can they find God with their material understanding? Lord Krishna says that unless he himself gives a knowledge to understand him, no one can understand him. You all also must have heard about this God particle. This was suggested by Higgs boson. The whole idea of the atom smasher in Geneva that you see. And of course there are other atom smashers in other places as well. So these are all about to find out the secrets behind this nature. Starting all the way from the atom. And from that understanding they were trying to really prove that there was a Big Bang. How the whole thing happened there. But they are not successful in this effort. Their experiment in Geneva was declared as a great failure. And now they need more fund to construct even a bigger atom smasher. Waste of more money. Because they could not find what they were looking for. By seeing their failures in understanding the mystery behind, but they found another particle which they didn't even think about. And that was what they were shocked. And Higgs boson called apparently, damn God particle. So we call that as a God particle because he couldn't understand. That's why he said, damn God particle. How can they understand? This is where science is. Science is like, now you compare that boy, right? That boy who answered that water comes from the tap. This is exactly what all the wonderful science and mathematics, everything's all about. They haven't advanced anything more than that. Actually, Only mad people and mad scientists do not believe in God. Real scientists believe that there is God. Here is a trimming of the movie of Albert Einstein, one of the most intelligent person in this world. It is said that our intelligence is controlled by the number of active cells in the pineal gland, which is also called third eye. That's right there. This gland has millions of cells. But for a normal being, only 5 or 6 cells are said to be active. For Einstein, it is believed that he had tens of cells active. So his perception was way higher. But just to think about how we will be if all the cells of this gland of us become active. We will be most intelligent. Being a most intelligent, Einstein strongly believed in God. Listen to what he says.
Bishop, I want to know how God created this world. I'm not interested in this or that phenomenon, in the spectrum of this or that element. I want to know his thoughts. The rest? The details.
Yes, but you can't feed your children on his thoughts, Bertie.
What did he say? Einstein said, I want to know how God created this world. I am not interested in knowing this phenomena or that phenomena, or this element or that element. I want to know how God created all these universes. Also, Einstein became a vegetarian and had full belief in God, as I said. So he is proposing a vegetarian diet. That is another subject. So metaphysics addresses only about the physical aspects, the Prakriti, which is actually an inferior energy of Krishna. It does not address about the superior energy of Krishna. Jivas or souls are the superior energy of Krishna. It's the superior energy coming from Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Apareyam ita tvanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yeyedam daryate jagat. Besides these means what? Those inferior energy, the Prakriti. O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities. But what do the living entities do? They are exploiting the resources of this material, inferior nature. So now this is a nice thing that to know about is, from Lord Krishna, there are two kinds of energies are coming. Inferior, which is the nature, material energy, and then there is superior energy. And they are all trying to enjoy in the material world, all the jivas, okay? Because they are under the Maya. So in that process, what they do? They exploit. The jivas will exploit. So today, we have, delved into the Prakriti by studying nature and the worlds and the dimensions. But we should understand the real knowledge given by Lord Krishna himself. So we should not bother to know much about the inferior energy, the material worlds. We are all jivas, and the material worlds do not belong to us. We came down to enjoy here and exploit this world, as Lord Krishna says. Yayedam daryate jagat. Jivas are exploiting the material worlds. See this picture and how people are exploiting a poor train in India. I do not know how the driver can even see the track. So, in our endless journey, we are always exploiting the material worlds. We make so much of plastics and pollute this world so much and don't know when this world will collapse. But like a well-built train, as we see here, Even with our exploitation, Mother Nature is still functioning well. So today, we have seen just the Prakriti part of Krishna in depth, using the metaphysics, other science and mathematics as a background for knowledge. The Prakriti is just a material part of Krishna energy, inferior energy. And the Jiva or souls are the superior energy of Krishna. Now let us conclude by looking at both of the energies together. And where do all these material and spiritual energies come from? For that Lord Krishna answers in the Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter 8th verse. He says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Now, what should we do? We understand all these things. Okay, so what? Then the intelligent being who understands this, what will he do? The wise who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. That is Krishna consciousness. So, when one uses his intelligence properly, will sure admit that there is a supreme God who is behind everything. Material and spiritual and everything, all, beyond all these is the supreme God. And he is Krishna, Aham. He says me. That is me only. No one else. All the other gods there are devas. They are all really working for me. There are devas or Bhagavans. I am Swayam Bhagavan. Swayam Bhagavan is, there is only one Swayam Bhagavan. That is Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. It's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why people are really shouting here, this God, that God, this God? There is only one God, only Swayam Bhagavan. Everybody else is, they're all like for a president, there are so many ministers serving. All the gods are ministers serving for him. That's what he is saying. Everyone serves me alone. So, an intelligent person will start worshipping Lord Krishna by coming to Krishna consciousness. With that, I conclude this episode titled Worlds, Nature and Dimensions. Thank you. Vanja kalpa charuchecha kripa sindhupya evacha paritanam pavanepyo vaishnavepyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.